Hey guys, welcome to another video. I want to say this is going to be like an engine breakdown, a breakdown of a bunch of engines of different car manufacturers, the engines that I think are the best of each manufacturer. Then we're going to start off with Mercedes, then we're going to move on to the best engine in Ford, then we're going to do Chevy, then we're going to do BMW, then we're going to do Porsche, and then we're going to end it off with Dodge. So I guess to start off with what I know best, as you can see, Benz, right? Right, the best engine a brand ever made is a very bold statement. So a lot of people say it's the M156. Some people like to say it's the M113K, but I think it's the M157. It does have certain problems like valves and cylinder scoring, but otherwise it is super balanced of an engine. The reason I didn't go M156s are very expensive to build. They need a lot of work and money to put into build because you have to go forced induction. And forced induction costs a lot of money to go for a car that's NA, right? They're amazing engines, and if you go forced inductions, they are some of the fastest Benz engines ever made. The reason I didn't go M113K, they are very fragile. They are very reliable stock. I'm not taking away from those cars stock. Those cars stock work beautifully, have no problems, very minor problems. But the second you start putting any kind of mods on them, extensive mods, smaller pulleys, stuff like that, those cars, cylinder 8, they explode. Their cylinders are made of literal glass, the cylinder walls. They're fragile as hell. The reason I think M157 is the best is because it is twin turbo. That's already an easy engine to start off with for building. Twin turbos are easy to build, and it's a 5.5. It's a big liter V8. It has a bunch of torque. It's reliable overall if you do your maintenance. They're very comfortable. They have enough power, even stock. All M157 cars are great fun. Not saying the other engines aren't fun, but I'm just saying for me, the most Benz-like engine, the most just sound-wise, performance-wise, is the M157. The next would be probably M156. I know the M177 for a lot of people would be the best building choice, but their heat-soaking issues have not really been dealt with that good. They're great. They're probably faster than the M157s overall if you go and build them, sure. But they're not as fun. They're 4 liters. They're not as torquey. They're not as much of a Benz engine as an M157 is. The next engine after that for me would be top 2 would be M156. Those are really the 2 engines that I consider the most AMG, the most just perfected an engine could go. The M157 is the most perfect Benz engine. It's smooth, it's powerful, a lot of liters, 5.5 liters, V8, twin turbo. It's reliable overall, lasts a long time, easy to build, mostly. Out of those engines, I feel like maybe the M177 has a bit more aftermarket support, but the M157 is the easiest Benz engine to build. Next is gonna be Ford. Ford, right? I mean, it's got to be the Coyote, right? The Coyote is the epitome of boost-loving V8 engine. Those engines can take in a lot of air. Those engines come stock, and they love to eat air, right? So they love boost. They're very big on boost, and they're very easy to build. Like, compared to LSs, you don't have to do as much internal work with a Coyote as you do with an LS. Even though LSs are great and they're Lego builds, don't get me wrong. But I think overall, Coyotes are easier to build for the simple fact that you don't have to go so deep into the engine when building them. And they're pretty widely used. They came in F-150s. They came in 3 gens of Mustangs. They're great cars. They're great engines. I mean, overall, not only is it easy to build, but it sounds great. It's even fun to drive NA. No boost, no nothing. It sounds great. It comes in good cars. Mustangs are great cars. I don't really see any other engine in the Ford lineup competing with the Coyote. Just how widely it's used and how easy it is to modify and boost, supercharged, twin turbos. It loves every type of boost you can throw at it, pro chargers, everything. You'll see a bunch of different builds, has a great aftermarket support. It's a really nice American good old 5-liter V8, right? Like that's what a Coyote is. The next car we're talking about is the Coyote's competitor. The all holy, the, you know, well-known LS. This is the closest you're gonna get to a Lego engine in a real engine world. You're not gonna find a car that's easier like to just find parts for and as widely used as an LS. The LS has been in almost every car you can think of. Chevys, you can find them in almost every single junkyard. You can get a block for like $600. You could build it. They're really fun to build. You really learn them when you build them because you have to do the crankshaft, you have to do a bunch of stuff to them, but they are easy to build. They're Legos. They're cheap to modify. They're easy to modify, and they have really, really, really great aftermarket support. Their aftermarket support is on par, if not better, in my opinion, than two JZs. They are great to build. They're basically everyone's first choice for a fast car. I know if I was gonna build a full-out drag car, it would be a Z06 C6. You know, LS's engines are great. Nothing bad about them. They're just a everyday, good old V8 that everyone loves, right? And what else would there be in Chevy to compete with an LS? But yeah, I guess you could say, oh, why don't you go LT? They're newer, they're more sophisticated, they're better, they get more horsepower out of them new, but they're not as cheap. Like you could pick up an LS car for less than like $20,000 now with a higher mileage. They don't have as much support for them. They don't have as much, you know, different parts, different manufacturers. They're great engines, but they're just too new to really compete with an LS. Maybe in 5 to 10 years, they're probably not going to be making V8s anymore, sadly, but if the LT keeps growing and growing like the LS did, maybe it will be comparable to it in a little while after a few more generations, which hopefully we get, but you never know. Next car, the good old German BMW, right? As you know, it's not going to be a V8 because BMW has not made a good V8 since the early 2000s. The S63s, they're lackluster, and not only that, are they prone to explosions. They're not reliable, but enough of talking about S63s. I know everyone's gonna be like, inline six, right? King of inline six right now, BMW. S58 motor, right? Everyone's like, S58, that's it. That's the king of inline sixes. Sure. Don't get me wrong. I think S58s are great. Great cars. No issues with an S58 in my eyes. They don't have as much time and tear and wear on them for you to really know that they're that reliable. Right, B58s, they're not as fun. They're not an M car. Another grudge I have with the S58 is it's not a fun enough motor to be an M motor, in my eyes. It's a great motor to build. It's a great motor to, you know, to have, to drive. It's smooth, it's reliable, it's great. But in my eyes, at least what I think is one of the best motors that BMW has made in the past 10 years has to be the S55. The S55 is a great engine. Yes, I know the crank hub whole thing, but it's not true. It's overblown to proportions because car manufacturers had to sell parts. They wanted to sell a bunch of crank hubs. And am I saying don't go out and do your crank hub if you're gonna mod an S55? No, definitely do it. But it's not as bad as people make it seem. Those crank hubs don't spin every other day, right? They're not as bad as people make them seem. And once you get past the crank hub issue, they're really reliable. They're fun as hell. They're great engines. They're revvy, they're fun, they sound pretty good. They're good engines. There's a reason that a lot of people love the F80 generation M3s. Also for building, they're great. The single turbo, they're not as fast as S58s. S58s have more potential, don't get me wrong. But in my eyes, a car has to be enjoyable. And an S55 is enjoyable. And if you want to build it balls to the wall, you can. There's a bunch of great S55 single turbo builds, a bunch, putting down some pretty crazy numbers. The next car I want to talk about is Porsche. Everyone's going to assume I'm going to go out and say the GT3 engine is the best. A 4-liter flat 6, I'm not going to say that they're bad. Those engines aren't bad, but the best motor to get bang for buck to build and have fun with is a Turbo S one. The 3.8-liter twin turbo motor. That is the best motor to get for aftermarket support. If you want to build, if you want just a track car, go and get a GT2 RS. GT3 RS, great cars. GT4 RS, I've talked about this. They're amazing track cars. Those engines sound amazing, the 4 liters. And even the GT2 RS sounds great with that 3.8 twin turbo. But the Turbo S engine, it doesn't sound good out of factory, sure. But the actual engine and the actual drivetrain connected to it is the perfect build for an amazing fast car. They can handle so much horsepower. They're so good. They're so fast stock even. Just put a great exhaust on them, they're fun. They make crazy turbo noises. It really, I've gotten a chance to drive an 800 horsepower, this wasn't in America, this was in Poland, but I got a chance to drive an 800 horsepower Turbo S. When I tell you that is one of the fastest cars I've ever been in, driven, and I've been in some fast cars. That car really does do its justice to what a Porsche can do. That flat 6 is more punchier, more fun, and just a better engine than any V8 in my eyes, and most V10 in my eyes, and V12s, inline 6s, anything you can put up, that flat 6 beats it. 4.0 is great, and I know that they can be built really well, but they don't have as much aftermarket support, in my opinion, as the Turbo S 3.8 liter has. Next car is Dodge. Oh, I've been waiting to talk about this. The Dodge. Everyone's gonna be like, Hemi, right? I agree. Hemi is a great engine. They're in a bunch of different cars, but I think the real winner of any Dodge, the real winner of the company, and the real reason Chrysler is so good now is the Viper. They got a V10 engine that Lamborghini helped them build that was pulled out of a truck and shoved in this raw 6-speed, no traction, no doors, no door locks, no roof, no nothing. It's this insane, just crazy car. And the aftermarket support, how fast a twin turbo Viper is faster than everything, almost everything. It is one of the craziest engines ever built. 9-liter NA, throw turbos at it, it's running crazy numbers. Yes, they're very expensive to get into, but a Viper is really a dream car. Everything about it, it's just so angry. The way it sounds like an angry snake. It doesn't sound like a Lamborghini or like a Ferrari, an elegant sport car. No, it sounds mean. It sounds like it wants to kill you, which it does. It's a Widowmaker. There's a reason that it's called a Widowmaker. That engine is super crazy. It's super insane to build. It is high horsepower. It has a spot in my heart. I do want one at some point in my life. If they're not $2 million cars by the time I get to them, because they have been growing a lot in value. They are a great investment piece, especially with this whole EV situation going on. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been a nice little breakdown of a bunch of engines. Let me know if you like this. I'll go deeper into engines. If you want, you can make a request on an engine. If you want, I can just do a video on a single engine. Whatever you guys want to do, I'm happy to do. I think it's pretty cool to review engines and, you know. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you guys next time.